Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Collin Neill here for Sam Houston Sports Talk, and we got a lot to really get into on pod at number 86. But before we get down to it, dive into a lot of stuff right here. I mean, just recap them real quick. Women's basketball from this past week, men's basketball this past week, including a key injury that it will be a very big deal as conference season is about to come to an end pretty soon. Before we know it, the guys will be heading to Huntsville, Alabama, along with the girls to be in the Conference USA tournament. Got softball, recap the Bearkat Classic real quick. We also got a little baseball preview for you as head coach Jay Sirianni visited with the media last week, and head coach Phil Longo met with the media today. By the time this is recording, to talk about the 2026 transfer portal class, got some sound bites for you on that front as well. But if you haven't already, be sure you subscribe today. Follow us on all our social media outlets. Links are in the description. Follow us on X. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, you can catch our audio only form of our podcast on Spotify. All right, we don't really have a lot to we have a lot to get into today. That is for sure. Let's go ahead and start with ladies first. Women's basketball. They went 1-1 on the road. They a little bit of a East Texas, New Mexico trip. They went to New Mexico State first at the Pan Am Center. They took a bad loss there. There's no if, ands, or buts about the loss that they took against the Aggies of New Mexico State, who were 3-6 in Conference USA play at the time, and you still are number two in Conference USA, but this is a game where you have to win. This is a team that you have to take care of, even if you are on the road. Um, Fontecone, thankfully, is back on the floor. She had 37 minutes of play, 7 points, though, 5 turnovers for her. Really, the Bearcats turned the ball over 18 times to New Mexico State's 21. So they did win the turnover battle there, but New Mexico State didn't waver. When you're only scoring 17 points off the turnovers, that's not really what the ratio you want it to be. And you also shot 3-13 from 3 and 20 of 64 overall from the field, 14-29 from the free throw line. Just not a good night. And sometimes when you're a good team, you have off nights, and that's totally just fine. Just gonna have to live and learn. Deborah Gaimi with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 3 steals, 6-10 shooting, 7-9 from the free throw line. She's still having an amazing season for head coach Raven Justice's squad, but they did come back a few days later and they took care of business against the UTEP Miners 70-58 at the Don Haskins Center in El Paso. It's a nice bounce back win. It was highlighted by the Bearcats outscoring the Miners 25-15 in the third quarter. That third quarter was huge. Deborah Gaimi, once again, 19 points. She got 5 rebounds, 5 whopping steals. Fontecone, 12.6 rebounds, an assist and steal as well. Coming off the bench, Annika Corcoran with 14 points in 32 minutes off the bench, 3 of 7 from downtown, 12 points from Nyla Inman, along with 7 rebounds, 3 steals. They turned the ball over 17 times, but they forced the Miners to turn the ball over 24 times, and they scored 19 points off of those turnovers. I do wish that they kind of capitalized a little bit better on the turnovers, but hey, you know what? If you're going out there and winning, I am not going to complain. I wonder what's up with Brianna Block. She started in New Mexico State, only played 7 minutes, started against UTEP, only played 1 minute. So I wonder what's going on with that. But hey, like I said, hey, you're winning. You're winning. That's all that matters. You still remain the number 2 team in Conference USA, right behind, I believe, Middle Tennessee is. Yeah, Middle Tennessee is still ahead. And this is probably the most important stretch of games this season so far. I mean, we can probably say that every week, but you're now going to be having back-to-back home games, February 12th and February 14th, first up against Missouri State, and then later on Saturday, you're going to be facing off against FIU. I won't be able to go out to any of those games because I will be busy. I will be very busy. I need to take a break from traveling, and plus, there's going to be a lot more athletic events going on all across the board. But Missouri State, FIU are big because Missouri State resides at the 3rd spot or actually La Tech. I don't know why I said Middle Tennessee earlier. That leads the conference. I'm thinking of something else, but La Tech is number 1, Sam Houston number 2, Missouri State's number 3, FIU's number 4, and the Middle Tennessee is number 5. So the number 1 seed at this point looks like it is going to be La Tech. If all the, if this pace kept up for the rest of the way, and hey, Sam Houston beat La Tech, is the only team that La Tech has lost to at home. As a matter of fact, La Tech is 11-1 at home, and Sam Houston beat them at their house to begin the Conference USA play. But yeah, Missouri State, FIU, Sam Houston's going to have to really shore up over these next 2 games at home. Excuse me. But it's going to have to shore up these next few games at home, because Missouri State and FIU are right behind them. They are playing them at home. You lost to FIU early in the season, so if you don't take care of business against FIU will have the tiebreaker over you. And not just because of standings wise, it's also because after these 2 games at home, you're going on a very interesting road stretch. Remember that Missouri State game that got postponed? Well, this is where it comes into factor. You're going to be going. That was wrong schedule. It's a men's schedule. You're going to be going on the road for 3 straight games from February 19th to February 24th. So you got the night. So really, since teams normally travel to the place the day before, so you got the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. So they're going to be on the road for basically a week. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because you got Kennesaw State, Jack State, and then Missouri State. So you're going from east, and you're going out east, and then you're going to end up in the Midwest, kind of Midwest, not really, but then you're going to be back home. And then thankfully you do finish your season 3 games on the road, but it's going to be tough. And I'm not trying to say like that they're not going to be able to do anything. But it's going to be very important if the women's basketball can take care of business at home. Like I said, Jack State, not Jack State, Missouri State, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus, and also on the Bearkat Sports Network. It's National Girls and Women in Sports Day celebration, so definitely go check that out. And then FIU, it will be a Play for K. That's the theme for that game, and that'll be 1 p.m. Central Time. That'll also be on ESPN Plus. Heading over to the men's side of things, they took the loss. They played 2 games. Rather, they were able to take care of business. I was at this game against UTEP, 70-66. It got very close at the end, but the guys were able to take care of it because they got it done at the free throw line. You look back on it, 21-27 from the line, including a 9 of 10 from Po Boy King, 8 of 8 from Cashy Nat. Sorry, this season's here, that's for sure. But 17 points for Po Boy King, 14 points for Damon Nicholas Jr., 6 rebounds as well. By the way, Po Boy King with 5 assists as well. Begg, 9 points. We'll get to him in just a second. Illich, Nat, 8 points each. 7 points for Matt Dan, 5 points for Coleman, a couple points for Jacob Walker. Not really the best of night for him. But the main story, I mean, yes, he did beat those Miners. That is going to get taken way out of context, but whatever. It's all fun. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. But, yeah. Fortunately, in this game, Justin Begg went down with some sort of lower leg injury, like an ankle, foot. I've been hearing foot, so I'm going to incline that it's probably some sort of foot injury that he sat out against La Tech in the loss 87-78. It was a very close game. Sam Houston was on top on the road by 1. It's hard to win on the road in Conference USA, but hey, Sam Houston was holding her up, and then La Tech just made some shots down the line. Some shots didn't fall down for Sam Houston, but Jacob Walker got the start, 37 minutes, 4 of 10 from the field, 16 points. Po Boy King, of course, 21 points, 3 rebounds. Walker also had 4 steals, but he also turned the ball over 6 times. You just cannot have that from your point guard. Cashing at 10 points, 5 rebounds. Illich, 5 points. 18 points off the bench for Jacoby Coleman. 8 points, 1 rebound, 4 and 3 blocks for Matt Dan. They shut the ball relatively well, especially 13-27 from three. And to compare it to La Tech, who shot 1 of 17 from three. Just some things didn't unfortunately go their way. I mean, when you turn the ball over 16 times, you're not expected. It's going to be hard to win any kind of ball game. But really, the main storyline is that Justin Begg did not play. And from what I'm hearing, I would, judging that he did not play this game, I want to say it's rust, but worst, I'm gonna fall in the worst case scenario. He might be out for a few weeks. I've not really heard anything. I think that he just might be out for a bit because I mean that it didn't look good. I'll say that, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe something will change. Hopefully, Justin Begg will be back because we are definitely the Bearcats rather are definitely going to need him. It will be a bit of a they have a week off during this week. They won't play again until Saturday against Kennesaw State on ESPN Plus 4 p.m. Central Time. That's going to be an interesting game considering how of a high volume offense the Owls are, and then they'll be back home for a whopping 4 straight home games before they finish back with back-to-back road games out to the Northeast against Delaware and Liberty. So I imagine Sam Houston's in a good spot right now. Jack State actually just, I believe Jack State just beat somebody. I can't remember, but Sam Houston's still in the top. Yeah, they're down. Sam Houston now. Jack State lost, so Sam Houston's now tied with Jack State for the number 2 spot in the Conference USA standings. So they're in a good spot. And this could be a good time for Jacob Walker to learn and grow. If I want to play it safe, I'm resting Justin Begg. I'm sending him out on whatever is wrong with him until the start of Conference USA play. And that is how I would deal with this situation. It'll be interesting to see what head coach Chris Mudge and his staff try to do. The guys are going to have to start stepping up as well. All right, we're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, I'll recap y'all the Bearkat Classic. That's next. All right, welcome back, everybody. The Sam Houston Sports Talk. Once again, it's Collin Neill here. Luke Scott not able to join me for this one. All right, it's just gonna be real quick look at the Bearkat Classic. Sam Houston softball opened their 2026 season, and got to interview head coach Garrett Volish along with catcher Bella Perez and right-handed pitcher Carly Bubella at the end of the Bearkat Classic. So if you haven't already, go ahead and go check out those interviews. That video has done some numbers. Like I was pretty thankful that y'all are tuning in, and we might have gotten some new people as well. So hey, if you are new around here, welcome in to Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, let's go ahead and just real quick recap the Bearkat Classic. South Dakota, the first team that the Bearcats faced in 2026, and it started off nice and clean. Mercy rule, run rule. I need to stop saying mercy rule. No one, does anyone call it a mercy rule? I still call it a mercy rule, but let's be technical about it. Run rule, 11-2 in 5 innings against the Yotes. 6 runs in the first inning. Tiffany Sanchez threw a complete game, got the save. This game was highlighted by a Bella Perez homer in the 3rd inning, 2-run shot, the first big fly of the 2026 season. The Yotes were able to get 2 runs back, but it was already too little too late. The Bearcats were leaving 11-0 at the time, and the Bearcats took care of business. Tiffany Sanchez, like I said, went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts on 72 pitches. Nothing crazy there, just a nice, clean, old-fashioned win for the Bearcats. But later on that day, they did get their first loss of the season. It was a 7-1 loss against the Creighton Blue Jays. It was just 1 inning that got away from the Bearcats. It was that top of the 6th inning. Bearcats leading 1-0 heading into that inning, and then the Blue Jays put up a 7 spot. Just could not get out of it until it was too little, too late. Abigail Young went 5 in the 3rd inning, 3 earned runs. Kendall Daniel came in for a third of an inning, but gave it 2 runs, also gave it 2 walks. It was her first in the game outing, as Coach Wallace talked about how she had an out of season operation Apke cleaned up the fire, put out the fire, went 1 1/3 of an inning just to get the Bearcats going and out of there. But you know what? They did exact the revenge a little less than 12, a little over 18 hours later. They beat the Blue Jays 10-5. That was a good game. The Bearcats got to a 5-0 lead, and then the Blue Jays responded 4-0 to 4 runs at the top of the second. It's 5-4, and then back and forth in the third inning. The Blue Jays tied it 5-5, and then Sam Houston got 2 runs in that third inning thanks to a Trisha Uratsky homer, and then a pinch hit RBI single for Lydia Noose, and a Maurer stole second, advances third. A little double steal action. Morgan Holiday stole home on that. Carlin Dees hit a grand slam, by the way, in that first inning. So shout out to Dees, Granny to get onto the board. Bearcats scored 3 runs in that 5th inning. Like I said, they won 10-5, but they lost. They went 1-1 again. They went 1-1 on day 2. Close loss 2-1. That game was just highlighted by just some situational softball. Like there's just some instances where they could have definitely gotten a lot more runs. It's not often where a 2-1 game ends like that, when both teams got 8 hits, 7 hits respectfully. Sam Houston did score that run in the 6th inning thanks to a decent RBI single at the middle, and they probably should have gotten more out of that inning. And then they were able to, though, get a close win over Central Arkansas to close out the Bearcat Classic 6-4. They won that game. Central Arkansas made a bid at the end. They got to a 3-0. They scored 3 runs in the 6th inning after being down 6-1 heading into that 6th inning. Bella Perez, second home run of the season already, 2-run shot. Helmley got her first collegiate career home run in that inning as well. Pino got an RBI double, 2 RBI double rather. Helmley got an RBI single right there as well. Mackenzie Jenkins started. She actually looked pretty good. I was actually pretty impressed. 4 2/3 inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Tiffany Sanchez then came in to try to get her out of that 5th inning. Just unfortunate, or try to maybe just close it out. But that's when the 6th inning came around where she gave up those 3 runs. And then Carly Bubella came in to help out Tiffany Sanchez, and she went and got the save in 1 2/3 innings. Just a good job by Bubella, a freshman who has had 2 scoreless outings so far in her young college career. Seems like she has a very specific role this year as a freshman again. And looks like she's fulfilling it really nicely. Got a little scary there in the 7th inning to begin with a walk, if I remember correctly. But she was able to get it done for the Bearcats to finish 3-2 in the first weekend of the 2026 season. They will now head on to the Mardi Gras Mambo. Unfortunately, none of these games will be streamed, as far as I know, but they will face St. Thomas, SIUE, on February 13th, Eastern Illinois, and Georgia State on Saturday. And then they'll finish it off February 15th on Sunday against New Mexico before they head back home to face off against Lamar in about a week. Really, first thoughts. Looks like a more complete team. The pitching staff looks impressive, and I think, I'm fine. I think it's all about coming together. Like, hey, it's the first few games. Like, I'm not really saying that. They would like. I'm not really gonna sit here and say, oh, they should have gone 5-0. Like, come on, man. Like, go 5-0. What you talking about? But I think the goal is always in these kind of things is to finish at least above 500, and they did that this past weekend. All right. I'm pretty excited about this team this year. All right. When we come back, let's head on over to Don Sanders Stadium. Let's do a little quick preview of baseball. Head coach Jay Sirianni spoke to the media last week. Let's get into that next here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. Well, you know what time it is, folks. You know what time of year it is. It's time with sports time. We had Sam Houston softball back in swing last week, and now with them going on, we got Sam Houston Bearcat baseball coming back. I'm not going to get into too much of it. I wish I had, better prepare talk about them. Well, I am prepared to talk about them, but I just don't have that. I just don't have that much time. You can probably tell that I'm trying to hurry up and and get this episode out, but make sure that y'all have all the vital information. And as I just hit my table with my funny elbow a little bit, that kind of hurt, but just making sure y'all have the most viable information I can give y'all that's sufficient that y'all need to know heading into this 2026 Bearcat baseball season after a very hard and disappointing 2025 season. But it seems like head coach Jerry Sirianni and crew are turning a new page to 2026. Here was head coach Jerry Sirianni, his opening statement last week when he met with the press.
Yeah, we put together what we think is a pretty good piece of new guys coming in, not only from the junior college rank, but especially the high school rank. I mean, they're going to be young. They're going to be a little bit, a learning curve type deal, but we're excited about those guys. We're excited about all of our incoming guys. We have enough returners that have had some experience and some skins on the wall. The fall was very competitive. I thought the guys did a really good job of handling some adversity. Just some unpredictable stuff that we had to deal with. And then coming into spring training, we've been healthy. The arms have been able to bounce back and kind of start to fall into some roles and stuff like that. So we've played really good defense as a whole, and we've kind of put a focus on, just having steady, consistent at-bats, which we've done a pretty good job of so far.
Yeah, it's just that's kind of what was the point of last year. The main point of last year, like I can handle okay offense, like whatever. I personally I can handle it. Whatever, it's fine. Whatever. I don't need guys to have 25 homer seasons or 30 homer seasons. Whatever. I can handle that. Whatever. I'm not asking for anything out of this world, but the pitching was just downright historically terrible. And of course, you got Ryan Peterson coming back, and you got some exciting freshmen coming in. And head coach Jay Sirianni was asked about the pitchers behind Peterson. He kind of went into the starting rotation. Here's the head honcho.
Well, Petey's going to be good. He's kind of followed that trajectory that a lot of guys we've had over the years. Freshman year, sophomore year, and then now junior year. He's really working with a mission, and he's got a bright future for sure. And then Jacob Holzer's kind of in the mix to go on Saturday. He's a junior college left-hander. Tyler Ryden is a sophomore junior college kid from Alvin, and then followed probably by Noah Kendrick. He pitched for us on Friday night. We're going to probably move him to Sunday because Sunday's all about who's going to throw a bunch of strikes. So Noah does a good job of mixing 4 or 5 pitches and fills up the strike zone.
So we kind of got a clear picture on what head coach Jay Sirianni wants for his weekend rotation. Of course, I don't really know who to say for Tuesday. We might have a freshman start on Tuesdays, midweeks, or whatever day it is. But it seems like Peterson's going to go on Friday. If I were to guess, since he's pretty stuck on Noah Kendrick going on Sundays, maybe we'll have a kind of a deal where we have a guy start out, see how long he goes, and then just throw basically your second starter in there. I don't really know exactly how else to word it properly, but that just seems. I would reckon that Tyler Ryden starts on Saturdays. Holzer, I never really seen him besides from the film, but I did see Ryden a bit this past weekend whenever there was a break in between games for softball. Sam Houston baseball was scrimmaging over a couple days. At the dawn, I got to see Tyler Ryden. I was kind of impressed when I saw the bit I got to see him, kind of like a little bit of 90-91. I saw him sit at. I didn't really see much. If I were to put it down, maybe I would think it's maybe Peterson Friday against McNeese. I'm gonna go ahead and put a pen down and say Tyler Ryden, but I wouldn't be surprised if Holzer's there as well, and then Noah Kendrick on Sunday. But hey, he did say a little bit. I cut this out for some reason. I don't know why I did, but if he were to say if that is what he would say at that point today. So something could be changed. It could have changed a week later. Or 2 weeks later rather. So we'll see. We'll see what's interesting. Let's kind of stick with the pitching a little bit. He talked a little bit about the bullpen when he was asked about it.
Yeah, that puzzle is always the toughest part in February. We're excited about Cade Neuenschwander. Tyler Ryden's in that mix as well. Tate Hickman, When he's in the strike zone and he's mixing it pretty good, he's really hard to hit. He's still small town kid and still learning kind of what it looks like, but he's in the mix. Easton Ballard's a strike throwing left-hander. Jonathan Anders is the same. So I think we'll probably have to piece this thing together on the back end a little bit until we settle on somebody. But again, some of those baby cats, they have that mindset too. They just haven't been out there to do it yet. So, we got some guys that kind of remind me of Miko back in the old days, where it's just like, here it comes, good luck, and we'll figure it out. But at some point, we do have to just throw them out there and find out what's going to happen.
I do think that the bullpen's going to be much better this year than last year. I mean, I don't think you can get much worse than last year. One guy he did not mention, which I thought was interesting, was Peyton Huff, the Southern transfer, conference honors in the SWAC last year. He wasn't mentioned in that bullpen conversation, but I do expect him to play a part. And maybe maybe he's not healthy, and maybe he just did not have a good spring training or fall camp. I heard some things about fall camp, stuff kind of a little bit weird and a little weird, but hey, he still has some stuff there, and he was one of the guys I am pretty high on. I was pretty high on heading into the off season when it comes to fall and spring. So I still think that's kind of a name that you have to keep an eye on. Tate Hickman, as you say, as well. Cade Neuenschwander. I thought he'd probably be a starter, but it looks like, judging by Coach Sirianni, that he might be just a bullpen guy, which honestly, like I said, I think it's going to be much better than last year. No disrespect to that team last year. It is what it is. He mentioned baby cats. We'll get to that in a second, what he means by that. But let's go ahead and get into the batting a little bit. I think it's pretty obvious what we're going to see, for sure. He did talk about a little bit about right-handed pop, but he was asked about what the identity is of this team, because you got guys like Jarrett Curtis, Caleb Cotton, Parker Blackman, fastest. I mean, this could be the fastest team in the country when it comes to the outfield just alone. And with how aggressive Coach Wed likes to be on the base paths and all that, they talk a little bit about how they wanted to try a few things. I think he mentioned this in this clip here about the identity.
Well, I mean, either that or we're not pitching it worth a darn. We've kind of done a little bit of everything so far in spring training. We've ran the ball out of the yard a few times. We've done a really good job with 2 outs, either extending innings or getting the big 2-out knocks. And this is all spring training stuff, but the speed game, the bunt game, that's definitely going to be a piece of our offense for sure. We've got some experienced guys that can handle the bat, and that's exciting.
So I kind of led that up a little bit weirdly, but basically what he's saying, he was asked if bunting speed is going to be the main identity of this team, but it seems like that they're going to be branching out a little bit more with because because this team has some more pop than last year. I mean, a lot of your pop was basically either Hunter Autry or Brady Christensen, and now it seems like it's a little bit more spread out. Addison Smith has some low key pop, but it just was hurt a lot last year. So yeah, it is what it is. He did talk a little. He was asked about the right-handed hitting pop, because that was something I was liking last year, and this is what he says. Some interesting things here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hunter's done a really good job. He's kind of tied down the shortstop position a little bit for us. You always have Jace that can play anywhere on the dirt, really even anywhere in the outfield. But Hunter's got a little bit of pop. Nathan Fink's got some juice. He's an experienced hitter. He's in, it feels like, his 12th year of college, but he's really only played for 2. So, it's a mature group. Those older right-handed guys have some experience, and I've been really excited about Ty Marthel-Johnny. He's had really good spring training so far. He's healthy, which is a huge plus. He wasn't healthy probably the back half of the whole year last year. So, those guys have done a good job.
Hunter, he's mentioned there is Hunter Alvord, the JUCO transfer, number 9 from Barton Community College. He also went to Cali County Community College. That is a tongue twister if I ever heard. But 6-foot junior infielder transferring in, as you could hear him there, pretty much locked down that shortstop position. I've heard that he's rangy. Like, I thought, like, Jason Martinez is a good defender of that shortstop spot, but hey, if Alfred's the one that's like the clear runner, the clear front runner, like, hey, go ahead and put him in there and see if you throw Jace Martinez out there anywhere you want. Ty Martel Johnny, it seems to have got that catcher position locked down. I was thinking that maybe they would roll out with other guys like a Keegan Demmer or Easton Dean. But they got depth in that position now. Ty Martel Johnny, I think, and that's interesting to know that he wasn't healthy the back half of last year. The bat just really took a big tumble, and it was just not something that you wanted out of Marthel Johnny, who transferred in from Temple College last year. Nathan Finke also mentioned I'm kind of curious to see how they fit him in this line of 6'4", 225 pounds. Went to Florida Southwestern College, who won the national championship in their. I can't remember what division. I think they were in AIA. I could be wrong, but he was also at Ole Miss. Very, very interesting player there. And you've heard him talk about baby cats. He means freshmen. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
Well, the funnest part about these guys is you don't know what you're going to get every day, but the gas pedal is going to be on the bottom of the floor. You don't really know. It's always exciting. But, Cade Corcoran's had a really good fall spring training. He's healthy. He was a high school shortstop. He's, kind of in that mix at first base or at third base, DH role. Left-handed hitter, really excited about him. And then on the mound, Cooper Harris. Murph has been really exciting so far. Colin Aloisio has been exciting. Zach Allred, those guys, we call them the baby cats. You don't know what you're going to get, but like I said, they're going to do it aggressive and they're going to go get after it. So, I feel like we've brought up that younger class. I think they walked in here at a higher talent level than some of the freshman classes we've brought in the past. So they're bigger, they're physical. They work hard, and they do have some personality. They like to compete, so it's been fun.
One guy right off the bat that he mentioned, Cade Corcoran, I'm very high on him. I was excited seeing his film, his ABs in high school when he was playing out there in a good old C-Stack College Station High School. Fresh 6'4", freshman, 215 pounds, physically already very impressive. I just like his hitting mechanics as well. He was a shortstop in high school, but it sounds like they're going to stick him mostly to the corners. I've heard that he will most likely be your opening day third baseman starter. Something to look out for on that front. Also mentioned Cooper Harris, literally from around the corner for me. Never got to watch him play, but I've heard a lot about him. Just a hard thrower. He might be a bit of a psycho pitcher. There's one thing about college baseball is like psycho pitchers. You always love to see those kind of personalities out there. So he might be a guy to look out for in that bullpen as well. Zach Allred, Colin Aloisio as well is what you heard from head coach Jay Sirianni. One thing interesting, it seems like that the Bearcats have a true utility player because on the roster, Kirby Orth from Houston Christian High School, just in Sugarland. He's an outfielder, but also a left-handed pitcher. So might be seeing a little bit of a two-way guy for Sam Houston for sure. Of course, we just have to wait and see. One more soundbite from head coach Jay Sirianni, and I'll give my final thoughts heading into this season. The Bearcats do begin the season on the road against good old McNeese. Old Southland Conference rivals. This is the first road trip for the Bearcats to begin the season, I believe, since 2019. Here was head coach Jay Sirianni on beginning the season on the road.
Well, it's going to be good for us, I think. Last time we did it, we drove all the way to Stetson, DeLand, Florida. That was a team bonding moment. But I think when you get on the road, you get away from kind of your comfort zone. It's something different for us. It's going to be nice to play kind of a familiar face to open up with, even though nobody looks the same anymore. But at least we know the coaches and those kind of things. Been to the ballpark. But it's good for us to get on the road. The way the schedule kind of worked out for us, it was smart for us to get on the road first.
Final thoughts for me, previewing baseball real quick. Look, I've heard that they're very optimistic over there at the Dawn. And hey, look, it's last year is not going to happen. Hopefully, ever again. And I think last year is just an outlier when it comes to the history of Sam Houston baseball. A lot of people wanted Sirianni's job. They were calling for his job throughout the year for that, and I think last year was just the perfect storm of negativity. And here's what I've heard: this team has a much better. There's a much better culture there. These guys have held each other accountable, whether it's weight room stuff, whatever. They're together. They're together. That family culture. It seems like is come back to that locker room, or whatever kind of way I want to say it. These transfers that they brought in are pretty exciting, with like Jared Curtis, Peyton Huff, and a couple of these other guys, Tyler Ryden, Nathan Fink, some other guys I'm definitely not naming right. I can't name right now, but there's other guys there, and you got freshmen who the Baby Cats. They seem pretty excited. I'm excited about, like I said, Corcoran, Mason Murphy, a guy that can make an impact, and a lot of other guys as well that I've mentioned throughout this pod. I'm pretty intrigued to see how this season goes for Sam Houston baseball, and hopefully they can build themselves up to where they can win the Conference USA tournament when it's hosted here in Huntsville, Texas. But hey, you know what? I always say this: why not you? Why not us? And that's where I'm going to leave it at that. The season begins, like I said, at McNeese starting on Friday. All games will be aired on ESPN Plus at the Joe Miller Ballpark in Lake Charles, Louisiana, Friday 6 p.m., Saturdays 2 p.m., and Sunday at 1 p.m. And they'll also have a game against Houston Christian at Husky Field on February 17th, Tuesday, before they are home for their first home series at the Dawn in 2026. All right, we're going to come back. We'll have one final segment. Head coach Phil Longo for Sam Houston football spoke to the media to talk about the transfer portal class. I got some sound bites, and then we're going to quickly wrap it up. That's next here on Sam Houston Sports Talk. All right, guys, final segment here for Sam Houston Sports Talk Pod 86. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate y'all that have stuck around this far. This is going to be just quite a quick segment. I'm not really going to go too much into the portal class in this pod. I am going to dedicate several videos on this transfer portal class and high school recruiting class, because I really want to get more in depth with this new team that Longo and his coaching staff have put together. First thing that Longo talked about was, or one of the first things rather, was 33 guys. What do they represent for this team?
These 33 guys, really, they represent what we really wanted to do this year. We wanted to get bigger and more athletic on both sides of the line. We wanted to get longer and rangier, just about at every position. We wanted some length in the secondary. We wanted more length on the edge. We wanted more length at tackle. We wanted more length in the receiver room. And so we were able to do that. I also think through this portal we have, given ourselves an opportunity. Of course, none of these guys have put a helmet on here yet, but we are very excited about these guys, and we think it gives us an opportunity to have more depth in each of the rooms on both sides of the football.
And you can never, ever, 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 ever go wrong with having too much depth on your team. And, it's a good problem to have. And I think he mentioned how good of a problem it is to have for this team, is to have many guys that can make an immediate impact on this team, make a dent, not just be long shots. Like this season for Longo is very important because of how last season turned out. 2-10 season. That is, I keep saying all the excuses and all that. He Longo says that those excuses are just not, like, you can ride those all you want, but at the end of the day, you're dealt with the cards that you are dealt with, and you're just gonna have to find a way to win at the poker table. And hey, sometimes you win, some other times you don't, and it is what it is. But they really went all in. It seems like in this portal class, they talked a little bit about. He mentioned being more athletic, being more rangier. I asked him about the offensive line. I didn't want to put it in here because it would take a little bit of a while. But basically, it's the same point. I asked him like what was important, like besides size and length, and I was kind of hoping he'd probably go in a little bit more about the fit and like the system. But I don't know if that's that as a big of a deal as I'm thinking that it might be. Hey, just get athletes on the field and offensive line. That's probably where your best athletes are at the end of the day. But there's really good size along this offensive line. Especially with the 11th hour acquisitions, it seemed like of a Daniil Nix Jr. and Shahal. I can't remember. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Like I said, I want to dedicate this whole entire video or two on this transfer portal class just to get to know them a little bit more, help y'all get to know them a little bit more as 2026 rolls on. I mean, shoot, in 6 months we'll have college football again when and more chaos probably with eligibility crap and all that sort of thing. Longo talked a little bit about the wide receiver room. Here is what he had to say.
Yeah, and I'm going to look at this list just because the one thing that I don't remember are the height and weights, but Christian Zachary came from NC State, right? And he's, it says 6'3", 178 here. Elijah Kaysen brings tremendous speed. He's a smaller guy that has a lot of twitch and a lot of speed. Caleb Mitchell from Utah State is our tallest guy at 6'6", 6'7". He is a massive human being lengthwise who runs very well, and he's got a lot of years, and so he's a guy that I haven't enjoyed a guy with his range and his length in a while. The last time I had a guy as long as this guy, it was DK Metcalf when I was at Ole Miss. And then Antoine Green, probably in that 6'4.5" range at North Carolina. But Caleb is, he's rangy. Kion Berry Johnson, who I had the pleasure of working with at Wisconsin, is here also. He brings a lot of twitch and run after catch ability. And then, we were also able to add some guys in the tight end room, I thought, give us some more athleticism and some more route running ability, and a little bit more speed in that room as well. So the receiving core for us includes the tight ends, and I think we got longer and more athletic in those two rooms.
And a lot of the key words, more athletic, rangier, longer. He emphasized that. The same thing with the defensive back room. For some reason I didn't put that in there, but he mentioned guys in the DB room like Ishmael Atkins, Joey Hunter, and Jalen Jones. There's a lot more guys in there as well. I do wish we had more time to ask the linebacker room, but I wanted to ask him this fun question at the end. I'll play that in a second. I thought it was kind of a cool, interesting answer. But yeah, just overall repeat the same thing over and over again. But he just wanted to hit it home, like, hey, we bring, where would you bring in size? But we're also trying to bring in athletes, and I think in Conference USA, I think in FBS football, you really need to have as many athletes on the field. At the end of the day, as long as they're out there, they're executing their assignments, that's what's important at the end of the day. These guys have to buy into the vision. They have to buy into the plan, the game plan, the process, and because you can be as talented as you can be, but if you're not going out there and executing your assignments and like making plays, then what good is that talent at the end of the day? That'll be interesting to see there on the forefront. We talked about, like, I just played that about the wide receiver room. I'm interested to see how he plays with that room. It's going to be open. It's going to be open, especially with Chris Reed coming back. I'm very intrigued with those names right there of what he mentioned with Kaysen, Mitchell, Zachary, Barry Johnson, and there's a bunch of other guys as well in there. I think are going to be interesting to watch. You talk about the tight end room. I mean, some names I can think of on the forefront: Jack Merriman, Brock Cool, Matt Smith, and you still also have Cooper Stevens, I believe, is still on the team, and London Dion, who transitioned from wide receiver to tight end. Those are going to be interesting as well to keep an eye on for football. I believe, I don't know how I asked this question. I forgot, and it's mainly because it's late. But if there's one thing I was wondering about this team, defensive wise, heading into the season, what's going to be your replacement for Jameer Diaz on that edge? And looks like we might already have an answer.
Felton is a great example. He's going to be an edge that I think is going to make a big impact here defensively. And Josh is athletic, and he's twitchy, and he can cover ground, close space. And we think he's physical, and so we're excited about him as we are many of the others. But he's just a singular example of a guy that wasn't an every down starter, doesn't have massive amount of reps, but just based on the film we were able to get on him and what we were able to evaluate, we feel like we got a really good one, and he's going to help the program on defense.
That's right. That's what I asked him. I asked him about how there's a good amount of guys that I said a lot. I probably shouldn't say a lot because there are guys that have playing time. But there's some guy there's a good amount of guys on this team that have come in from the portal cycle that don't have as many snaps, don't have the experience. But I probably should have prefaced at this level. But either way, whatever it was, it's just guys. How do you look at them projection wise? And it seems like they have a good project. They have an idea of what a lot of these guys will bring. It's pretty much the same emphasis that they had on the high school recruiting class. They didn't want to recruit long shots. They wanted to recruit guys that they know, that they feel like can make immediate impacts, dents rather, on this team. Again, it is only February. Spring ball hasn't happened yet, which, by the way, starts March 25th that Longo mentioned at the end of his presser that spring ball will start March 25th. So a month and a half away to worry about that. Just to see, and I'm gonna make sure I go out there because I really do want to see how these guys look in action. One more from head coach Phil Longo. I was kind of under the impression like, hey, I got one more question. I wanted to ask him about Bearkat men's basketball because I've seen him out at a couple of games and all that good stuff. And honestly, this was an interesting answer. I just wanted to go ahead and play this because why not?
I'll tell you what, I haven't seen a loss yet, so I'm going to keep going. I try to make it to as much as I can, right? You'll see me at baseball, you'll see me at softball, you'll see me at women's basketball. My wife is a former Division I women's basketball coach. She did that for 15 years, so we're not going to go to the men's game and not see a women's game. Now, I would go anyway, but that she wants to see it. She knows most of those coaches, and my girls love watching ball, and so I just think when you get involved somewhere as the head football coach, it is, in my opinion, it's imperative to be involved on campus and in town. And that means supporting the other sports. I respect all our head coaches. I know some of them better than others, but I know what they're going through. And, I don't know their sport. I wouldn't attempt to coach any of those sports. But I know what they're going through as college coaches in this day and age with the changes that are going on. I want to see them all win, and I want to see them all do well, and I'm going to support them as much as I can. So if I'm not coaching ball and I'm not recruiting, then you're probably going to see Tanya and I and the family out at these athletic events as we move through the spring.
So it's pretty cool overall that a football head coach just understands like, hey, gotta also support the other schools because, hey, football is king. It's no doubt. It's a moneymaker, no doubt. That is the main sport. Of course, if you have football. But this is Texas, of course. Sam Houston football, like, duh, whatever. But anyway, the point is, I like that answer. Just thought I pointed out, like, hey, he said this, and he hasn't seen a loss yet for Sam Houston men's basketball. So maybe they can organize something where he can just join them on everything. Join him on everything as much as he can, all games, even on the road. But anyway, that'll do it for us. That'll do it for me here at Sam Houston Sports Talk. Appreciate you watching, listening, taking in this however you are. Be sure you like, be sure you subscribe. If you haven't already, we're inching closer to 300 subscribers. Thank you all so much. And for all the new faces in here, appreciate you subscribing. Just whatever y'all do to support Savings to Sports Talk, I greatly appreciate it. But that'll do it for me for now, guys. And remember, Bearkat basketball, Bearkat women's basketball at home Thursday and Friday and Saturday rather. Go out and support your Cats. Support your Cats remotely, of course. Baseball going on the road to McNeese. The Sam Houston softball going on the road as well, and men's basketball going on the road as well. ESPN Plus live stats. However you do, it is Bearcat Sports Network. However you consume, support your Bearcats all you can. I'm Collin Neill from Sam Houston Sports Talk. Have a great day.